And our blower knows, I just saw him take the blower off. He knows, 10 o'clock, we're done.
I was trying to not to breathe it in. Is he ready?
He's getting,
Okay.
it's up to you.
Are we live? No. We're waiting just a moment more.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting. Today is March 9th, 2026. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded, and we do have a member joining from our Fort Bragg office. We will start with the call to order and flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Moving on to item 1.2, approval and adoption of the agenda.
I'll move, go ahead.
I move we approve and adopt the agenda.
I'll second that.
Marilyn, second David. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Any opposed? Roll call?
Yes.
Yes.
Yolanda needs to do roll call.
Marilyn
right.
Puget,
Yes.
David Strauss.
Yes.
Shwan Malaya,
Yes.
Nancy Bennett.
Yes.
And is Dawn Strong on yet? Okay,
Now to the science password.
okay.
Did we get a vote from him? Do we
So
have to wait until
Dawn,
we get a vote?
no, we don't need to wait, but we do need to record that Dawn Cruiser didn't vote,
That was for
is not present at the meeting yet.
Right, okay. Moving on to item 1.3, approval and adoption of the minutes for February 4th, 2026. Do I hear a motion?
I will move approval.
A second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Oh, are we doing a roll call or?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yolanda.
sorry. Roll call.
Marilyn Puget,
Yes.
David Strauss,
Yes.
Shwan Malaya,
Yes.
and Nancy Bennett.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item 1.4, approval and adoption of the minutes for February 9th, 2026. Do we have a motion?
I move we approve item 1.4.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Yolanda.
Marilyn Puget,
Yes.
David Strauss,
Yes.
Shwan Malaya,
Yes.
Nancy Bennett.
Yes. And moving on to item 1.5, approval and adoption of the minutes for February 24th, 2026. Do I have a motion?
February. I'll move approval.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Marilyn? Okay, roll call, please.
Marilyn Puget,
Yes.
David Strauss,
Yes.
Shwan Malaya,
Yes.
and Nancy Bennett.
Yes. February was a busy month.
It was.
Moving on to item 1.6, public participation. Do we have any public participation? Okay, moving on to item 2, we have no correspondence. Item 3, consent agenda, none. Moving on to item 4.1, we'll take action to rescind board policies and regulation, board policy, regulation, and exhibits.
Would you like some explanation from me on this?
Yes, please.
So board regulations and exhibits in a school district or at the county office do not require board approval. What they do is they describe how board policy will be implemented. So in some school districts, they are approved by the board, but it's not required because it's not policy. In many, they're just updated when they need to be. In our agency, I think because it doesn't need a district board approval anyway, and also it describes the work of the staff, we're recommending that you rescind them because a county board doesn't have authority over the staff. So that is the ones that are related to regulations and exhibits that are listed there. Also listed are some policies related to personnel. We are updating policies related to personnel, but those are superintendent policies because, again, the county board does not have authority over personnel. It is not uncommon for this mistake to be made, where they're listed as board policies rather than superintendent policies. But as I've been engaging in more training, and I reviewed the document, the statutory roles of the County Board of Education and superintendent, seeing that there are some things that we need to clean up, and this is one of them. So we're recommending that all of the board regulations and exhibits there and the policies related to personnel, which are all in 4000s, that the board take action to rescind those.
Any questions or discussion?
So just to be clear, on all these policies that we're recommending to rescind, there's a process going on right now to implement them, but at the superintendent level?
Many of them are already implemented.
I see.
But as we're doing with all of our board policies, we're also reviewing superintendent policies.
Mm-hmm.
And those don't come to you for approval, but some of these will be combined or eliminated because they're a little bit out of date, and some of them are already in place.
And oftentimes when we get this information, it's coming from CSBA.
Right.
And they're kind of geared towards school districts who
Right.
do have that authority to hire,
Correct.
fire, have personnel negotiations and things
Right.
like that. And we are just so different in that we don't have that.
So are we going to go through and change the language in each one?
No.
Well, so for example, BP 4131 says, the county board encourages the ongoing training of teachers and improvement of instructional methods. So there's speaking directly about the county board here, so, but we're removing ourselves from it.
Yes,
so
because the county board doesn't have authority over the personnel for professional development. And if the, as we're redoing goals, if the county board wants to encourage certain legislation or certain practices, there's certainly a role for the county board to do that. But that's not necessarily a policy.
Exactly. So are we going to take that sentence? We're going to leave the sentence in?
No, our recommendation is that these be completely eliminated. They would no longer exist under board policy or board exhibits.
Okay.
There's no revision, just elimination is what is
Just
being
elimination.
recommended.
And then you've got duplication of these under superintendent.
Yes, or something related. What we're finding as we're doing some review of our board policy is CSBA is wonderful in that they give you the sequence of numbers. So if you go from our county board to another county board or to a school district, if you look up board policy 4020, it's going to be the same thing. What we're finding in some of our policies is that's not always the case because some of our policies have been out of sequence for a variety of reasons. Some of them are things that we just created and then haven't updated. So some of them might look different or have different numbers, but yes, all those that we are required to have, we are making sure that we have them adopted.
So we're just kind of cleaning things up.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that
It just seems
we
like a
don't
lot
have
to,
board policy, regulation, or exhibits for things that we have no control over.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. If I'm saying.
it's not our,
It's not in our wheelhouse. Any further discussion or any questions?
that was my question, if we were keeping, if we had a replacement or, because usually when we change something, we have the red marks and the
Right.
everything, but this is just.
This is different because we're not recommending that you keep
Completely
it.
rescinding.
Right.
Well, I move that we approve item 3.1, and I will not go through and list each.
4.1.
Oh, I've got it as 3.1.
Yeah, we have it as 3.1 on
It's
our
3.1
agenda.
on ours.
You know what?
Did we revise this agenda? Because I'm logged in and it's 3.1 discussion action. Number 4 is consent.
You have 4.1. Okay, I might have drag and drop things accidentally.
Ours is,
So I'm going, and what was posted is what you have printed, so give
Yeah.
me just a moment.
okay.
So it is 34.1.
Sorry, there we go. It should be 4.1, but so we went out of sequence only because that was what was online.
So sensitive.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
You do have Dawn on.
Dawn's on.
Well, did Don want to speak to this at all? He's usually got something to say.
Don, can you hear us okay, if you wanted to speak on item 4.1? You're unmuted.
His probably says 3.1 as well, if that's what all the board members have.
No,
I have a 4.1. I'm not sure why mine.
sometimes when we're online, if we drag and drop, but if you refresh the page.
It's not speaking, so.
Okay.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion, can we have a motion to rescind the regulation, exhibits, and policies related to personnel?
Oh, now it's okay. I'll move,
Now, did you
I'll
do it?
move the
I'm trying to-
recommended action.
Thank you, David. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Donald Cruiser? Marilyn Puget?
Yes.
David Straub?
Yes.
Schwen Malila?
Yes.
And Nancy Bennett?
Yes. Okay, moving on to item 4.2.
Can I ask a question? I fear that since I have inadvertently moved some things. Have we, were there items in 3.1 on the printed agenda?
No, there wasn't. So, the way that Yolanda's currently taking minutes, or taking, noting down the actions, they are under discussion and action. So,
Okay,
as far as the public can see it, they're seeing it as a 4.1.
okay. I am updating again, my apologies, I've done this before, I need to log into the public site and not the authenticated site, and I haven't done that, I will do that now. But if you refresh once again, it should be appropriate.
Okay, I did it. Now I got it.
Okay,
The correct.
and I'm going to
Go to the public.
go to the public site.
Oh, now, yes.
I refreshed it and I have a bunch of 3 points. and
Yeah.
Only the one 4.1. So refresh again as well?
Yes, my apologies, I will get out of the
I'm like, wait, we gotta go
authenticated
back to
site.
number 3. Okay, again.
No rush, just tell me.
I'm good, I'm there.
Okay,
Let's see.
item 3.1, resolution, National Autism Awareness Month.
It's actually, okay,
4.2.
it's actually 4.2, you need to refresh again too.
Again? Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, sorry.
Now I'm on there, okay.
My apologies, guys.
Nope, this is me.
She's over there, let's see who had their caffeine today.
Yeah.
Definitely not me, not enough. So we just did 4.1,
Yep.
which was rescinding policy regulation and exhibits. 4.2 is our National Autism Awareness Month, resolution 26.3.2.
I move that we approve item 4.2.
And I will second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Donald Cruiser?
Yes.
Marilyn Puget?
Yes.
David Straub?
Yes.
Schwen Malila?
Yes.
And Nancy Bennett?
Yes. Moving on to item 4.3, resolution 26.3.3, Child Abuse Prevention Month. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I'll move approval.
And I second item 4.3.
Okay, roll call, please.
Donald Cruiser?
Yes.
Marilyn Puget?
Yes.
David Straub?
Yes.
Schwen Malila?
Yes.
And Nancy Bennett?
Yes. Item 4.4, review and approve the second interim budget report. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, sorry.
We're all experts here.
That's right. Hi, good morning. How are you?
This is Suzanne Steely, and she is our Director of Internal Business. So anyway, she does a really good job. Can't wait to see the show, Suzanne.
Thank you. Pressure. Okay, so I'm gonna review the second round budget with you today. The next page shows the budget cycle. And the purpose of the budget is to allocate resources, meet goals, and ensure that public funds are spent responsibly. The interim budgets are developed so that we can monitor and adjust the different budget components according to the goals of the county office. So the first item on the in the budget cycle is a June adopted budget, and that's developed in the spring each year, and it must be adopted and submitted to CDE by June 30th. Next, we move on to prior year's books and closing those. That's done in the summer and the fall of each year. And those, the result of closing the books are a set of documents called unaudited actuals, and those are submitted to CDE by October 15th. Next, we move on to the first interim budget, which is the most significant budget because we've already closed our books. So we know what our actual expenses, revenues, carryover is, and then that is incorporated into the first interim budget. And then finally, we have the second interim budget, and that's developed in February each year, and it's due by March 15th to CDE. And that's where we are in the budget cycle now. So what has occurred since the first interim budget? The first principal apportionment was published, new or revised funding sources were made available, and then new or revised expenses became known. There are generally few changes to the second interim budget. The effects on the second interim budget include revenue and expenditure adjustments per funding changes and expenditure adjustments per actual expenses to date. And then we do a projection through February 1st through the end of the year, end of the fiscal year. The adjustments included in this second interim budget are that there was a projected revenue increase, a slight projected expenditure increase, and then an increase in ending fund balance. This is just a budget overview of the main components of our budget. So you can see that there are 3 columns and then a difference column. So I have the June adopted first interim and second interim here. So that projected beginning fund balance, it's no longer projected, it's the actual beginning fund balance, and it's $29.6 million. Total revenues are $29.9 million, and that's an increase of $248,000. Total expenditures increased slightly, $22,000 to bring it up to $33.3 million. And then there's a net increase to fund balance of $225,000. So our fund balance, like I mentioned, is $29.6 million. This is the actual beginning balance that was calculated after closing the fiscal year 24-25 books. The beginning fund balance includes carryover and also the surplus of actual revenues over expenditures from 24-25. Carryover balances include amounts reserved and not expensed in resources that allowed an ending fund balance in 24-25. And also resources that are ongoing or multi-year funded, and all of the revenue had been received in a prior year but not spent in that year. So it becomes part of our beginning fund balance this year. Projected revenues is $29.9 million, which is an increase of $248,000. The breakdown of the $248,000 increase includes federal revenue increase of $73,000. This is due in part by Title I increase of $3,000. Supplemental inclusive practices increased $45,000. The 25-26 funding has become known to us since first interim. Title IV, student support and enrichment increased $23,000. And there was a slight increase of $1,600 to rural and low income. State revenues increased $26,000, and that is a $15,000 increase to ACES after-school technical assistance. And then there's a new grant, student support and professional development block grant. So that was an additional $10,000. Local revenues increased $148,000. And increase is a net of some decreases and some increases. So our interagency services with LEAs decreased $42,000.
Can I pause just for a moment?
Yes.
Because we have a new board member. LEA stands for Local Education Agency. So that's going to be school districts, charter schools, and the like.
Okay, thank you. The decrease was due to cost savings from vacancies, and actual expenditures were less than, so the interagency services to districts are where we provide services to districts like nurse, psychologists, speech and language pathologists, and then the districts pay us for those services. So there were less costs, payroll costs, things like that. So that resulted in less revenue for those services. Other decreases included our adult education fees and the regional center contract. We're expecting less revenue than we were at first interim. Increases included the special ed SELPA allocation of $35,000. Our early start grant increased $17,000. The Medi-Cal administrative activities, or MA, and Medi-Cal both received some revenues from prior years. I think we're looking at 2 and 3 years back where we're finally receiving some funds for those. So we adjusted the budget to match our revenues. And then we also added the foster homeless youth donations of $11,000. Below is a chart that shows the revenue summary and then percentages of the types of revenue. So you'll see that our local revenue is our largest source of funding, and then the LCFF is the second largest. LCFF is our local control funding formula, and that consists of our county operations grant, alternative education, and differentiated assistance. We get very little federal funding sources. Our projected expenditures are $33 million, and that's an increase of $22,000. Salaries, Salaries are $15 million, and that's a decrease of about $101,000, and that's due to vacancies. So our vacancies are reported at the full cost of the position at the June budget, and then as that vacancy remains unfilled at first and second interim, the costs go down. Also, any vacancies that were filled since the June adopted budget, some of them came in at a lower than what was projected. Benefits are $6.9 million, and that's a decrease of $98,000. We cleaned up some benefits that were posting incorrectly, and then there were also some vacancy savings there. This year, our PERS is 26.81%. It's a slight decrease from 24-25, 0.24%. STRS remains flat at 19.1%. And our workers' comp had a very slight increase of 0.012%.
And PERS is, as most people know, the Public Employee Retirement System. So we have a lot of employees that are classified. Then all of our certificated, so anyone who has a credential, an administrative credential, counseling credential, teaching credential, they're under they pay into the state teacher retirement system, and we also pay into that. So those are those acronyms.
And those percentages there are the percent of their salary that we pay to those.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And PERS, the Public Employee Retirement System, that one keeps increasing each year.
Yeah.
This was the first year in a long time that we've seen a decrease, very slight, but it was a decrease. But I think it's projected to go up again next year. Materials and supplies is $1.2 million, and that's an increase of $94,000. This is in conjunction with any revenue adjustments, new funding sources, and also aligning the budget to our actuals to date. Notable increases include the Student Support and Professional Development Block Grant. That was the new grant, and that's $10,000. Foster homeless youth, there was a community foundation donation of $7,000. That's also new. The Arts and Music Instructional Materials Block Grant increased $18,000. And then our after-school education and safety increased $14,000. There was an increase in our routine restricted maintenance, which is our maintenance and operations resource. And that's where we pay for anything that keeps our facilities clean and in good repair. So there was a $10,000 increase for custodial supplies. Travel and conferences increased $630,000. I'm sorry, it is $630,000. It increased $10,000. Big difference. That's due to increased mileage reimbursements and MCOE vehicle use by our itinerant service providers. So our psychs, nurses, language pathologists, physical therapists, occupational therapists, and they're traveling all over the county to provide services to students, and those costs, you know, the mileage, the travel to get there has been increasing. Dues and memberships is $64,000, and that's a slight increase of $2,000. And we just adjusted the budget to align with our actuals to date. Rentals, leases, and repairs is $227,000, and that's a $5,000 increase. And that includes an increase to the California Mathematics, Science, and Computer Science grant. Our contracts and operating expense is $3.8 million, and that's an increase of $73,000. This is one of our largest expenditure categories, and it includes services of professionals when there isn't staff to provide the services or the service is out of our scope. It includes presenters, contracts for facilities work, financial software such as Escape, auditors, legal, advertising, fingerprinting, and physicals. And then many adjustments were made per our actual numbers to date. Notable increases include our special education non-public school placement. So that was an increase of $75,000. Supplemental inclusive practices saw a $38,000 increase. Arts and music instructional materials block grant, $17,000. And mental health awareness, $36,000. Reductions included our special education local entitlement, and that is where our special education local plan area, our SELPA, receives our special education funds, and then they pass those through to MCOE to run our special education program, where we provide services to all of the school district students. GeoLead, that's a local, I believe Sonoma County, where they pay for travel and conferences for our educational services department. So that funding came in at $10,000 less, so we reduced the budget. Equipment and facilities is $229,000, and that's an increase of $41,000. We have a new certified nursing assistant program this year, and the actual cost to remodel and prepare the classroom for the classes was more than the estimates. That project is now complete. There was also some maintenance and operations equipment purchased. And then below is a chart showing our expenditure summary. And you can see that salaries and benefits make up the majority of our expenditures, a total of 72.79%, followed by our services and operating expenses. There's a net decrease to fund balance in the amount of $3.3 million. This is a revenue of $29.9 million less our expenditures of $33.3 million. This includes the $2.25 million transfer of the solar project, which is covered by our beginning fund balance. And the decrease to our fund balance would be a little over $1 million if the solar transfer were excluded. Projected deficit spending is due to expenses being more than revenues, and also to funding periods and carryover. And then, like I mentioned before, in many cases, multi-year grants, awards, and allocations have been received in that prior year, but not spent in that year. So those funds carry over to subsequent years and become available to spend. So they're no longer in the revenue category, they're in the beginning fund balance. And then at the bottom of this, you can just see a little calculation, how we come up with that funding balance, ending fund balance. And it's similar to the very first page of our snapshot of the budget. The ending fund balance is split into categories. There are 5 categories. There are restricted programs, and that reserve is $1.4 million. Restricted balances are related to grants that have spending restrictions and can only be used for specific purposes. We have commitments of $5.9 million. That includes facility upgrades of $2.5 million, technology upgrades of $1.145 million, district loans, $2 million, and then STRS and PERS increases of $293,000. Our assignments are $1.2 million, and those are unrestricted balances in resources that, such as our Medi-Cal administrative activities and lottery. Then we have a reserve for economic uncertainty of $4.9 million. This equals approximately 15% of our total general fund expenditures. And these funds are to be used in the event of an economic downturn or other financial contingencies. And it would cover a little over 2 months of our expenses, including payroll and regular accounts payable expenses. Then we have unappropriated or unassigned amount of $12.7 million. And this is an increase of $90,000 from the first interim budget. And it's not reserved for any specific purpose, but this is our safety net. The following chart summarizes the components of the ending fund balance. And then in summary, the second interim budget was prepared using current assumptions and actuals through January 31st. The beginning fund balance remains the same as first interim, as it was determined when the prior year books were closed. Revenue increased with new or adjusted grants and awards. Expenditures increased slightly in conjunction with revenue increases, spending down one-time funds, new programs, enhancements, or educational supports at MCOE schools. Our ending fund balance is $26.3 million, and after reserving mandatory components, there is an unappropriated amount of $12 million. The unappropriated reserve should be maintained to cover unexpected expenses, negotiations, and a safety net for economic downturns. The second interim report will be certified with a positive certification, and based on current projections, MCOE will meet its financial obligations for the current and 2 subsequent years. Questions?
Just more of a comment. I was just surprised to see the decreases for adult ed fees and the regional center contract. Did we get, because we have the new CNA program, and I would just think that the costs would have risen in our adult ed.
Well, the new CNA program is it's covering all of the tuition this year, and I think part of next year. So the other adult ed fees are the medical assistant, phlebotomy, and dental assistant.
Right.
And then they also are trying to start up a new registered dental assistant program, but I don't think that they've had any classes there yet. I'm not quite sure about that. So those fees, it could be in large part to timing. So like students pay their fees late in the fiscal year, and like May or June, so they're posted there instead of rolling over to this year. So then our projections just change a little bit. And then the regional center, we're not able to serve as many students going forward because of funding and things like that. And then also too, the projections were that we would be reimbursed more than what at first interim, the projections were we would be reimbursed more than the projections at second interim. And they're working on that contract right now to tighten it up and adjust it for next year.
Thank you. Yeah, those are just big, our
Yeah.
adult ed and is big for us, so
Yeah.
I'm surprised it went down.
Yeah.
Any further questions for Suzanne?
For reserves, I see about the 5 million. Is that from this year? Or is that the total reserves we have?
The 5.9 million for,
The 4.997.
the 15% reserve for economic uncertainty. That's based on second interim total expenditures in the general fund. So it's,
For this year's.
for this year,
For
yes.
this year.
15% for this year, point in time, second interim.
How much do we have total?
Total
reserves.
reserves are, where did I have that?
That's in addition to the 12,737,000, is that correct?
Yes. So our total reserves were $26.3 million.
Okay.
And then after you allocate all of the necessary required restricted commitments, assignments, and reserve for economic uncertainty, then you have 12 million left.
It's a good amount of reserves.
Yes,
What is the
very healthy.
What does the state require us to have?
3%.
3%.
And that's, what is that, is that the same as if, is that different than what a district would have for a reserve?
I think most districts are 3%. It depends on a range of ADA.
And can you describe some of the differences between our reserve and a district's reserve, or one of you?
The difference between a county office serves a very different purpose than a school district. So school districts typically have the state required reserve limit, like 3%, 4%, 5%, and then their boards might also adopt a higher percentage level. The difference for us as a county office, we have a very different function than a school district. So we serve as sort of like a safety net for our schools in the event that they have cash needs because they only have a 3% reserve. We would serve that purpose. They would come to us and say, we need a $2 million cash loan. And so we would work on that. So it's really important that we have like a higher reserve amount just so that we can accommodate that, because we have very small districts, but we also have like Ukiah Unified, which is our bigger one. And if they needed a cash loan, we would need to be able to provide that support. Is that?
Yes, that is what I was thinking of.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions? I had a question about the supplemental. We had a considerable supplemental increase. Can you remind me if that is because our unduplicated count is over 55%, or? do I have that?
So the supplemental, so there was no increase to our supplemental and concentration funding. I left all of our LCFF, our local control funding formula, numbers flat. The supplemental, I think you're referring to the supplemental inclusive practices, 45,000. That's a grant. That's different than our supplemental and concentration funding.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, any other questions for Suzanne?
Keep waiting to hear Dawn chime in.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks.
Appreciate
Thank
it. So this is on our agenda as an action item, so.
I'd like to move that we adopt item 4.4, interim budget.
Do we have a second?
A second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Donald Cruiser,
Yes.
Marilyn Puget,
Yes.
David Straub,
Yes.
Shwem Malila,
Yes.
Nancy Bennett.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item 4.5, review and approval of the 2026 board goals, which I think are this handout.
Yes, they were not attached when we published the board agenda because we had to publish the board agenda before we met on Friday. And so on this, you will note that there is one bullet missing, that on Friday when we met, it was the first bullet previously that said to ensure accountability, the county board will create a yearly board calendar in collaboration with the county superintendent. and the discussion was to take that off because every board creates a board calendar. And then we added, and it's, I think, at the bottom of the first page, or second page, the last bullet, develop a deeper understanding of MCOE operated schools through increased student voice.
I like the way that turned out.
Yeah.
Yes.
However that comes about, however we get the student voice.
Yes.
If adopted, it will be changed to from 2025 to 2026.
Yes.
Excellent oversight.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's what we're here for.
Any other questions or comments, concerns, discussion?
I move
Seeing
that,
none, do we have a motion?
I move that we approve item 4.5 with the correction of 2026.
One second.
I'll second that.
David, roll call please.
Donald Cruiser,
Yes.
Marilyn Puget,
Yes.
David Strauch,
Yes.
Schwen Malila,
Yes.
and Nancy Bennett.
Yes. Item 4.6, approval of resolution number 26.3.3. No, that's a duplicate. This is the same as that.
Yeah, that is a duplicate. We might have been working a little fast to get this, but this has to be tabled anyway. We're not prepared. When we agendize this, we forgot that this also has to be a public hearing, which requires different posting. And so we'll bring this back next month with a different number, and it will be also advertised as a public hearing.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does MCOE has a competitive bidding policy?
Can you address that?
Yeah, so we follow public contract code. We also, we have elected into what we call CUPCA, which you're probably familiar with. This resolution, Government Code 4217, allows LEAs, school districts, and county offices to utilize that government code and not go out to formal competitive bidding to do a design build project like this. And the reason being is that the cost of the project itself will be met above and beyond with savings. So it doesn't actually, when you look at the full scope of the project, it doesn't actually cost. You'll actually see savings as a result in the end. So it's this project, when we bring it back to the board next month, would be recommending that we utilize Government Code 4217 for a design build and not going out to a competitive bid.
Okay. And you'll attach that policy to
Sure.
the item?
Yeah, we can do that.
So in order to table this, it looks like we need a motion.
I move that we table item 4.6.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call please.
Donald Cruiser,
Yes.
Marilyn Puget,
Yes.
David Strauch,
Yes.
Schwen Malila,
Yes.
and Nancy Bennett.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item 5.1, first read of board policies. Board policy 5125. Any questions? Opening it up for discussion.
And so, since we have a new board member, Veronica, can you describe what the attachments are when we attach?
So the five.
Oh, actually, sorry, could you go to the microphone? I just realized Dawn might not be able to hear you.
So we have
We have a current policy of 5.25, the student records, and so that one just straight across, they're so different that we just attach the current and then the first read. And then the 5.25.1, which is the release of directory information, if you noticed in the ones that you just redacted, that number was actually one of them. And so in trying to bring all of our policies up to date, we're also trying to also adopt all of the CSBA numberings of their policies so to align them correctly.
So sometimes when we bring board policies to be revised, we'll bring it through with a strike through so you can see the changes, but this was so markedly different, as Veronica said, so markedly different that we just showed you the old one and then showed you the new one.
You'll see the strike throughs more often from now that we're adopting all the CSBA, and as they update them, then we'll bring them back with the strike throughs.
Thank you for the clarification, appreciate that. Marilyn?
On the sentence immigration or citizenship status.
I'm having a hard time hearing you, sorry, Marilyn.
Okay, I'm curious, our county board policy / administrative regulation 1445, response to immigration enforcement. Do we have a copy of regulation 1445?
Those have all been, those were adopted, so you guys adopted the board policies, the new one, and Nicole adopted the regulation and the,
Just a
and
regulation.
the superintendent policy, you also adopted the superintendent. So she already adopted the regulation,
Okay,
and that's posted on our website.
okay, so we have to look it up to see what it is. Okay,
We can send that to you if you'd like to look at it.
I was just curious. I mean, it's because it's
cited.
gray, it's written, it's sort of, it's not real clear.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, do we have a motion? I'm sorry, no. This is discussion only.
Just first read, yeah.
Okay.
First read. Okay, moving on to item 6.1, MCOE, school programs and student enrollment report was attached.
And Nicole Odell is at a family event out of state, so she's not here to for her report or for this, but if you have questions, we'll endeavor to answer them.
I appreciate how it goes over the differences and it includes explanation on why there was a change. That's helpful to see.
Definitely.
Okay, moving on to item 6.2, the Human Resources Personnel Report, which is attached. Looks like there were some new hires in February. Item 6.3, Educational Services Report. Dr. Odell is out of town, but I did have a question.
Sure, let's see if we can answer it.
There was something about special ed and that districts are hiring rather than contracting with us.
Sure, I can address that. So one of the special education is a big service that MCOE provides. We hire itinerant staff and to help meet specific needs within a district, like occupational therapist, psychologist, various titles. And we give the districts tell us how much time they want, and then we staff accordingly, and we tell them approximately how much we think it will cost them, because these are staff that we don't receive funding for except what they reimburse us for. That includes mileage. They reimburse us not the entire cost, but most of the costs. This year, and at the end of the school year, we look to see what the actual cost was, and the districts often get a bill to make the difference up because they've paid throughout the year. This year, Heather and her staff really tried to look at those numbers and make sure that the number that we give to the districts is a much more realistic number, so that they're not getting a bill at the end of the year, and clarified the language. And we gave it to them early, because one thing that we have noted is that in some cases, a district may be able to hire the staff themselves and pay less money. Because when they hire through us, they have to pay for the mileage and other costs. We give them a composite rate, which means that what they get billed is not based on the cost of that actual employee. It's based on the cost of the program. So if they have a senior employee that costs more or a junior employee that costs less, it doesn't matter. They get billed based on the amount of time that they use. So we gave them that number early because we recognize that the cost of this, for, like I said, for many, they could get this for less if they hire their own. And so some have opted to do that. And Heather worked really hard, and Nicole Odell and Isaac Ramey to get those numbers dialed in early. And so some of our districts have opted to hire some of their own staff. And so we are anticipating needing fewer staff to meet those needs. It was a long explanation, but that's what that was.
That clarifies it.
Yeah.
I would have always thought that maybe it was more costly for the district to hire.
Right.
Because there's all the other costs that are associated with
Yep.
having employees that.
So, I think that the other thing that they pay for, so like school psych, for example, there's also assessments that need to be purchased to do that school psychs use. There's a whole lot of expense that goes in, and they get billed for the full cost because we're not getting funded for that. We only hire those employees for the purpose of sending to the districts. So it's been there's a lot of work has gone into that to make sure that we're giving the districts the real estimate of what it will cost and not billing them after the fact, because that is disappointing for a district to get a bill that they're not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And we have pretty consistently done that in past years, and we'd like to get ahead of it to give them a more authentic estimate so that they can set their budget accordingly.
It makes great sense.
Yeah. Any questions about the report? Okay, moving on to item 6.4, Business and Administrative Services Report with Heather Rantola.
Yeah, so there's a lot of notes in my update for all of you, but I'll highlight a few. Obviously, Suzanne presented second interim. It's always really exciting to be able to close up one budget period, although we jump right into the next. Our county office, we have a budget set for our agency, but we also serve as the fiscal oversight for all of our school districts. So while we're closing up our second interim budget here, our next step is we will be receiving all the second interim budgets from school districts. And our external fiscal team will start doing the reviews, and then we send a letter saying that whether or not we agree with their positive certification. Our team in fiscal is also working on a budget transfer workshop, which we're holding tomorrow. And that's really just helping internally at MCOE, allowing each department to have more kind of control and ability to move some things around in the budget within the parameters of their own budgets, so that Suzanne and Debbie Connor and our internal team doesn't have to do all those pieces for them. They'll still have an approval process. Let's see, we're also gearing up for the LCAP season, which is the Local Control Accountability Plan. And our fiscal team works in conjunction and partnership with Ed Services. We develop the LCAP here for our agency, but we also support all of the LEAs with theirs, and are also tasked with the oversight, so the review of those. And then jumping into some of the facility things that we have going on. When we bring the solar project back to you next month, you'll see that we actually added, or we're recommending adding in the alder roof replacement as well as willow over at Ore Creek. And the reason being is that both of those roofs, the willow roof is actually already leaking, and it's about 20, if not a little bit more than 20 years old, so it makes sense just to go ahead and replace it. The alder roof is not leaking that we're aware of, but we're anticipating that being beyond its lifespan, so we would recommend also replacing that. We also, actually over the weekend, we received another vehicle fleet, a Toyota RAV4, and so that's just replacing one of the older vehicles. It's just part of our initiative to kind of replace those aging and less safe vehicles that we have. We also have 10 new radios configured for our community school. Thank you, Sky. And that is, he configured the ones for Ore Creek. Now having the community school ones configured and able to be used, that way they can kind of speak to each other right there on the LoGAP corridor is going to be really great for our schools. And then the last thing is we finalized the Fall 2 reports, which is really kind of focused in on like the staff and our courses, student enrollment things. And that was due by February 27th. So our agency's reports are done, as well as supporting all of our LEAs with that report as well. I think that's all I was gonna highlight for you, unless you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
It's a long list.
Yeah.
It is. All right, well, seeing none, we'll move on to item 6.5, superintendent's report.
Yeah, so since our last regular board meeting, we've been seeing a lot of each other. We've had 3 board meetings since then. I was able to attend a board meeting at Mendocino Unified, which was fantastic. That was our final board appreciation. I couldn't get there in March, so I made their February meeting. The California School Board Association, their annual education conference, which several of us attended this last year. I'm on the planning committee for next year, so we've started meetings to discuss those. We meet about once a month to discuss the upcoming annual education conference, which I believe is in San Diego or Anaheim next year. I can't recall. The North Bay Construction Corps is that's through North Coast Builders Exchange, but we partner with them and help with some of that work. They they work with students who are who are seniors in high school, about to graduate, and through an interview process, students can become part of the construction corps, and then in the spring. They spend several Saturdays where they learn different construction trades, and those that want take part in an internship program where they get paid and they do a project together. It's a really great program. Last year we had a cohort in Fort Bragg and a cohort in Ukiah. This year it looks like we're having both those cohorts, so I was able to be part of the interview process for the Ukiah cohort. Really, really exciting to see kids coming through excited about a career in construction trades. Or exploring a career in construction trades. And then we get North Bay Construction, North Bay Construction Exchange gets different construction trade people in to be on the panel. So I'm not in construction trades, but I'm really good at interviewing. So it's a pleasure to be part of that. Friday we had our first certified nurse assistant graduation, which was really, really great. Staff worked hard on putting the graduation together, but students worked much harder to get to that point. So it was really exciting to see. Upcoming events that we have that I'll send you more information on. March 21st, we have the Science and Engineering Fair and the STEAM Expo. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Math. A really cool event. I'll send you more information if you have kids that you want to bring. It is a fun event for kids. And if you want to come later in the day to see students be recognized, those that will be going on to the state competition, that's a fun part to see as well. And there we have student performances, and it's always wonderful. We also have a Fentanyl High movie, 2 different events coming up. MCOE has partnered with Public Health to put on or showings of a movie called Fentanyl High. It's a student-made movie. It's students, I believe, in the Bay Area created this movie a number of years ago, and it really goes over the health impact on fentanyl use with primarily high school students. I'll send you the information, but March 25th at 5:30 in Ukiah at the Regal Theater, and in Fort Bragg at Coast Cinemas on April 2nd at 5:30. They are open to the public, and we are really pleased to be part of this. They're also going to have a panel of experts answering questions that the public may have. It's appropriate for students. It's kind of a tough conversation, so really we're kind of thinking ages 12 and up. But we're excited to be able to put that on, and really pleased that Public Health has been a wonderful partner in this. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Marilyn, would you like to kick off our board report?
Well, certainly.
Thank you.
We have seen a lot of each other this last month, and that's a good thing. Getting to know everybody last week at our annual goal setting meeting was awesome. We had a wonderful lunch. I feel like I got to know everybody a little bit better, and of course Mike is wonderful in facilitating such an event. If that's, I mean, that's about all that I've attended since mock trial.
Nothing to report, but I will say, March 27th, the weekend of March 27th, Mean Girls at Willis High School.
Right.
My wife is the musical director, so
Oh, nice.
plays that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Hey, so I just want to appreciate Nicole and staff and the fellow board members for onboarding me. This process has been great. I enjoyed it. Staff has been responsive and organized. I didn't ask a lot of questions today because the presentation were just comprehensive. And I just want to make a note of that. I appreciate the charts, the graphs, the bullet points. It's just comprehensive and straight to the point. Really great work. I regret I couldn't attend the nursing assistant graduation, but I really want to express that, you know, the students' work that was inspiring to me. I attended the February 27th Education to Employment Summit. I get to meet Eric Crawford and learn more about some of the programs that we offer, and I'm just really impressed. When growing up, I don't think I had any of those, and I'm really glad that students in this county has those programs available to them. Yeah, thank you.
They're really wonderful. We've seen a lot of each other. It's been great. I also had a really great experience with our board workshop, getting to know our new board member and learning about our schools a little bit more. That was really impactful. That same morning, we attended just, I think, kind of an hour of, at the high school, they were doing a program site tour that included CTE pathways. Sad we didn't get to do the walkthrough, but it was nice going and learning about what was happening. I attended the CNA graduation on the Friday night, and that was really wonderful. They had a great group of graduates, and you could just tell by the way that they were together that they just had a really tight-knit group and great support system. So that speaks volumes to the program that they've built. Let's see, tomorrow I take part in the MIG-1 workshop. So I'm really excited to start my MIG training voyage, so that'll be very fun. Oh, and also last week, Friday was a crazy day. I also took part in an LCAP training through ACCBE, which is Association of California County Boards of Education. I was able to attend some of it, not all of it, but they do. What's nice is that they do record a lot of their trainings, so you can go back and kind of watch them. And it was a good training session from what I've learned. But I'm excited to see the questions and answers at the end, because I feel like, you know, it's a complicated document when you're not when you don't work with it on the yearly. And this is, I guess, this is our year 3. So then 2027 we will start a new document, right? So that'll be exciting to see. But yeah, that's all I have to report. Oh, Dawn. Sorry, Dawn.
No, we need his head on there. Where are you?
Okay, he's over here. My life is within a couple of days, I will be going to Germany for a month. And I told my mother is still alive. I think the steps are her secret. She lives on the 4th floor and goes up and down those steps every day, even though she's 98 years old. And I should be back in time for the next meeting, and I still check my email over there, so you can reach me through my email.
Great, that's exciting. Have a wonderful trip.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 7, closed session. We have none. Moving on to item 8.1, our next board meeting is Monday, April 13th, 2026.
And that is in Anderson Valley.
Oh,
We have a couple a year that we do in the school district, and that's one of them. And so I'll communicate with the superintendent to see if we can either get a board presentation or a tour of something. So I'll work on that, and our meeting will be there. If anyone's not able to attend, remote is no longer really an option. However, we can post and be, like Dawn is doing from the coast, have, as long as the site is within the county and open to the public. So if anybody can't attend Anderson Valley, either Fort Bragg or here, we can, or wherever you may be, as long as we post it on the agenda and make it open to the public, we can, this option does work for us.
Thank you for the reminder that it's in Anderson Valley. I would have forgotten.
Yes.
Item 8.2, adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I will move adjournment.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Donald Cruiser,
Yes.
Marilyn Puget,
Yes.
David Strauss,
Yes.
Shuan Malila,
Yes.
and Nancy Bennett.
Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
I had to quiet myself down and let someone else make it.